Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. I came home a little after 6, and Jenna was already on the couch with her laptop open, a candle going, and one of those fixed smiles you wear for strangers. She looked up, blinked once, and put the smile on me like I'd walked into her meeting. "Hey," she said, soft and measured. "Hey yourself. I hung my keys on the hook we put up last spring. I'll start the grill. You hungry?" She glanced down at the screen. "I grabbed a salad already. You go ahead." That was the first pebble rolling down the hill. She always ate with me. We weren't fancy, but we were consistent. Tuesday was steak or chicken. Tuesday was our little ritual. I stood there, letting the quiet fill the room until it said more than either of us was going to. "Long day?" I asked. "It was fine." She nudged the laptop lid like she was closing a diary, then didn't close it. "I'm just tired. Don't make a thing." I took the hint. She didn't want to talk. I went to the patio, lit the grill, and watched the flames catch. If I'd known where that small shrub was headed, I'd have saved the propane and driven straight to a locksmith. I brought in the plate, set it on the counter, and ate standing. She typed. When I rinsed my dish, she finally spoke. "You don't have to hover. I'm at the sink, Jenna. It's not a runway." She pushed air through her nose, almost a laugh. "You know what I mean." "I do," I said, "and I don't like it." Her stare flicked over me and away, like I was a TV on in another room. "You're making this weird." "No," I said. "I'm noticing. That's different." She shut the laptop then, crisp, like a meeting adjourned. "I'm going to bed early." "Night." "Night," I answered, but she was already down the hall. "If you want to measure distance in a house, don't use feet. Use the sound of doors." Next morning I left for the yard early. I run 3 crews for a small construction outfit. Tight schedules, straight talk. Nate, my foreman, gave me a look when I beat him in. "You okay?" he asked, flipping his notebook. "You're here before the coffee's ugly." I shrugged. Sleep was optional. He grinned. "Welcome to the club." We went out to a job off Memorial. The day moved. Lumber, measurements, a quick joke, a small argument about a beam, solved. I like problems that show their faces. When I got home that night, Jenna was in the kitchen with her phone flat on the counter like a compass. "I'm going out with Alyssa and Brooke," she said. "Girl thing. Have fun," I told her. "Where at?" She fussed with a stray hair. "Downtown." "Which place?" "Mark," she said, and there it was. The look you give a clerk you're about to ask to speak to a manager. I don't need to submit an itinerary. Never asked for one. I picked up the mail. I asked for the name of a bar. She rolled her eyes. "We might bounce around." "It's nothing. I'll be up. Text me when you're headed home. Don't wait up." That night, I watched a game on mute and listened to the garage door not open. Around midnight, I sent "you good" and got back fine. Sleep. She came in at 2, quiet as a cat that knows where the bowls are. The next morning, she was sweet coffee and soft words. "Don't be mad," she said, bumping my shoulder while I packed to lunch. "Not mad," I told her. "Just wondering when we stopped being teammates." She touched my arm. "We didn't. I just need space sometimes." "Space isn't the problem. Vague is." She kissed my cheek like a peace stamp and flitted off to shower. Mid-turn, as they say in football, the play that looks like a run and turns into something else. The drift didn't come as a storm. It came as small adjustments only one of us was counting. She stopped sending me the silly photos from her day. She started leaving earlier, coming home later. When we were with friends, she ribbed me the way people who don't like you rib you. Just enough bite to make others laugh, and you wonder if it's a joke. I adjusted once, twice, then set a new rule without a speech. Friday afternoons had always been our grocery and errand time. That Friday, I left the office at 4 and went to the gym instead. When she texted at 5:30, "Are we doing the store?" I replied, "I already knocked out my list Wednesday." New ground. Our time wasn't a default. I wouldn't wait in the aisle to be ignored. That night, she watched a show in the bedroom while I went over bids at the kitchen table. At 9, she wandered out, wrapped in a throw. "You're working late," she said. "Yup. You could come in and watch with me." I looked up. "I can. Do you want me to?" She hesitated. "If you want." There was the trick, invite by obligation. I stacked my papers. "I'm good out here. Big proposal." She stood a second, decided whether to push, then floated back down the hall. First initiative set. I wasn't going to chase air. Saturday, she announced she was heading to her parents' place an hour away. Mom wants help with a closet, she said. You're staying over? I asked. Probably. Text me when you get there. She nodded, quick. Of course. No text came. I called at 8. Straight to voicemail. At 9 she sent, late dinner. Phone died. No apology, just a status update like we were co-workers passing in a corridor. Sunday morning, she breezed in with a takeout coffee for herself and a bag of pastries she set near me without looking. They had an extra, she said. Nice of them. You're welcome. I smiled. I thanked the giver, not the bakery. She stared at me long enough to decide I wasn't playing. You're in a mood. No, I said. I'm tracking patterns. She tilted her head. You're not easy lately. I'm not easy to walk through. I corrected. Different thing. She laughed. Whatever. That afternoon, I called Alyssa. We've always gotten along. She's direct, not a fan of drama. We've grilled with her and her fiancé 100 times. Hey Alyssa, quick question, I said. Shoot. Jenna's been out with you and Brooke a lot. Is everything good? There was a pause. A lot. I haven't seen her in 2 months. Brooke moved last month. Did something happen? That's helpful, I said. Thanks. What's going on? She pressed. I'll keep you posted. Appreciate you. I called Brooke next. Same response. Haven't seen her. The silent story got loud. That night, when Jenna announced she was meeting the girls, I didn't correct her. I just nodded and set another rule in my head. No more guessing. I called a private investigator Monday morning. A guy named Sandoval, former military, owns a tiny office near the county building. We talked clear numbers and boundaries. He didn't care about gossip. He cared about the assignment. I gave him the schedule I knew, the places she liked, her car. Nate caught me leaving the office after lunch and raised an eyebrow. You look like you're shopping for a new truck or a new life. Just buying data, I said. He nodded at that. Data is cheaper than hope. Cheapest thing I'll need. I drove to a job site and stayed late with the crew, an obvious move in a week that had stopped hiding its tells. That evening, Jenna came home bright and chirpy, a tone I now recognized as a cover. She dropped a kiss on my head while I was at the stove. Smells good, she said. It will, I told her. Grab plates. Can't. I promised Mom I'd call. She disappeared, and I ate with the sound of her laughter in the next room. She didn't ask me how the food tasted. She didn't ask anything at all. 2 days later, Sandoval called. You at a place you can talk? In my truck, I said, pulling into a supplier's lot. I've got pictures and a name, he said. You want them emailed, or you want to come by? Email. Then print a set I can pick up. He sent them. The photos weren't poetic. They were clear. Jenna's car at a townhouse on the south side. Jenna on a patio with a man who wasn't a stranger once you looked twice. I know men like that. Soft hands, smooth voice, no calluses and heavy opinions. I had a name and an address. I had a clock in my head that finally ticked. I thanked Sandoval, asked for a few more nights of coverage to finish the pattern, and moved to the next step. I didn't blow up. I didn't throw anything. I went to our bank app and split the checking, moving my pay to a separate account. I left the joint intact for bills, wrote down the account numbers, and printed a budget. Then I called our mortgage servicer and asked what the process would look like if one party stayed. The woman on the phone was matter of fact. I wrote what she said on a yellow pad. Jenna noticed none of it. She was in the soft phase. She made dinner that night. Actual dinner, like the old days. Pasta, salad, a glass of wine placed by my plate. What's the occasion? I asked, sitting. I've been snappy. You didn't deserve it, she said. That true. She met my eyes, steady. Yes. I ate, watched, listened. Let her be warm. After we ate, she showed me a video of a dog doing something dumb and laughed when I didn't. You're impossible sometimes, she teased. You'll live, I said. My phone buzzed. Sandoval sent a simple, tonight, same location. Work? She asked. Scheduling, I said, and stood to rinse my plate. Soft phases are important. They tell you whether someone is sorry or strategic. 2 nights later, she announced she was staying at her parents' place again. Mom's shoulder is acting up, she said. If she needs anything heavy lifted, tell her to call me. I offered. She's fine, Mark. Sure. The next morning at the yard, Alyssa showed up with coffee for Nate and me. She's a project manager for a different firm and was dropping off a bid packet. You dodging me? She asked, handing me a cup. Not on purpose. You called. then went quiet. I've known Jenna a long time. If something's broken, say it. I don't hand out pieces of my life to make spectator sport, I told her. But I appreciate the concern. She looked me over. You look like a guy building a raft. I'm finishing a dock, I said. The boat already left. She let that sit. You need anything? I'm around. There it was, a witness offered by accident. I didn't plan to use her. I ended up needing her, just not the way she thought. That afternoon, Jenna texted, bright as tinsel. Thinking of us. Dinner tonight? My treat. I answered, I'll be home by 6. I copied a file to a thumb drive and slid it into my pocket with the printed photos. At 4:30, I called my buddy who does paperwork, asked him to prepare a set of documents I could sign the next day. I paid extra for speed. Adult decisions cost money. You either complain about the fee or be glad for the service. At 5:50, Jenna set pasta on the table like Sunday tradition. I'm trying, she said, sitting. I see that, I told her. Thank you. Do you still want this? She asked, staring at the bowl. Want respect, I said. Want honesty. Want a plan. She nodded like she was deciding which word to fight. I'm working on it. Okay. I ate. She ate. We cleaned up together in a quiet, choreographed way that told the truth better than we were doing with our mouths. At 9, she stepped onto the patio to make a call. I watched her through the glass, head down, shoulders relaxed in a way she didn't offer me anymore. Behind me, the printer spit out the last of the forms I'd set to print from my laptop. I stacked them, slid them into a folder, and put the folder in the hall closet with our winter gloves. At 10, she came back in and leaned on the frame. You still up? For a bit. She walked over, brushed my shoulder. Come to bed. I looked at the clock. I'll be right in. She went. I sat another 5 minutes and thought about the number of times I'd chosen to trust when there wasn't anything to trust. That well was dry. I turned off the light and went to bed beside a woman who had switched from cold to warm like it was a sweater, and I let her think the temperature change worked. The message came the next day at 3:18, while I was with Nate at the supply yard arguing over a delivery window. My phone vibrated and showed Jenna's name with a block of text. My friends say you're a bad husband. We need to separate. I read it twice. Nate watched my face. You need a minute? I need 30 seconds, I said. Then I took a screenshot and sent it to Alyssa and Brooke with a simple line. Apparently you've been busy. I put my phone in my pocket and finished talking to the sales rep about joist hangers. 5 minutes later, my phone lit up like a switchboard. Alyssa, what the? No, absolutely not. Brooke, we haven't seen her in weeks. She's using our names. Alyssa again, what do you need from us? Dinner, I replied. Tonight, my place. 30 minutes. Alyssa, be there. Bringing groceries. Brooke, I'll grab dessert. We're mad. I texted Jenna back then. Same measured tone she'd used on me for a month. Strange. Right now your friends are with me, and they like everything. Message delivered. Read. No reply. I told Nate. I'm leaving a little early. Lock up. He looked like he wanted to say something wise. Settled on. Go do what you do. At 6:30, Alyssa and Brooke rolled in with bags. Alyssa took over my kitchen like she'd trained for it. Brooke chopped onions and wagged her head. Using our names, Brooke said, that's a new low. Don't burn the onions, Alyssa said. Anger cooks fast. I won't, Brooke muttered. You think she shows up? She can't not, I said, setting plates. She built a story that collapses when the props walk out. We cooked fast. Simple food, loud pans, clean smells. I set the table. At 7:05, I sent Jenna the line about the friends liking everything. At 7:30, I poured 3 waters and left hers empty. At 7:50, the front door opened hard enough to rattle a picture. Jenna stood there in a coat and the voice she reserves for scenes. She took in the kitchen, the table, Alyssa with a spoon in her hand, Brooke wiping her fingers on a towel. She looked at me. What is this? I pointed to the table. Dinner. Alyssa crossed her arms. Don't what is this me? You lied about us, Jenna. I did not, Jenna snapped. You two have been saying for months. No, Brooke said. We haven't seen you. You used our names. Own that. Jenna's eyes came back to me. So you're hosting my friends to turn them against me? I shrugged. I invited the witnesses you chose for your narrative. She stepped forward. You're manipulative. That line would land better if the room was empty. I said. We sat. I took the head of the table. Alyssa and Brooke took the sides. Jenna hovered like she couldn't decide whether to sit or perform. I gestured to the empty chair. Sit. Eat or don't. Your call. She sat. The food went around. So, I said, this afternoon you said your friends think I'm a bad husband and we need to separate. Would you like to hear what your friends think? Jenna's jaw tightened. I said what I said. Alyssa set her fork down. I never said that. You haven't answered texts. You pop up with selfies from girls' nights we weren't at and you throw us under the bus to do what? Make him look like a clown. Brooke leaned forward. We're not props. We're done being your cover. Jenna turned to me, softer. They're jealous, Mark. They've always been jealous. You know that. A cute version, I said, reaching to the sideboard. I pulled out the envelope Sandoval had given me and set it on the table. If not for one detail. I slid the top photo across the wood. Jenna looked down, then up, then down again like the picture would change if she glanced quick enough. She opened the stack. Car in a driveway I knew now by heart. Patio with a laugh I hadn't seen in my house in months. A man whose name I didn't say yet because I wanted her to be the one to jump. Alyssa and Brooke sat back, eyes on Jenna, then on me. No gloating, just quiet disgust. You used their names, I said, with no heat. You used your parents. You used everything except the truth. She put the photo down like it was hot. You hired someone to follow me. I invested in clarity, I said. It pays dividends. That's invasive, she whispered. Not as invasive as lying in my kitchen, I answered. She glanced at Alyssa and Brooke. They made me feel like. Alyssa cut in. Don't even. Own your choices. Jenna looked small then. And I mean that in the way someone shrinks when they realize the stage is bigger than the spotlight. She tried one more angle. I'm unhappy, she said. So fix it or leave clean, I told her. What you don't get to do is build a trap under my feet and call it a staircase. Brooke exhaled. He's been decent, Jenna. You know that. Jenna stood. I'm not doing this. I'm not being ganged up on in my own house. It's our house, I corrected. For the next, I checked my watch, not because I cared about the time, but because I like precision, 58 minutes. That's how long you have to pack what you can carry. The rest will inventory with a third party. She stared at me. You can't be serious. I pulled the folder from the closet and set it on the table. I'm done doing the warm-up act. These are signed. You'll find them fair because I am. But I'm not generous with someone who spends my generosity elsewhere. Alyssa shifted in her chair. Do you need us to go? You got dragged into this, I told them. You'll see it finished. Jenna's mouth moved like a fish. No words came. She looked at the photos again, then at the empty water glass I'd left at her place. She registered the detail and flinched, like she realized how much attention she'd lost. You're throwing me out, she said quietly. I'm making a boundary you can see from space, I said. You wanted to separate. You get your wish without taking what you didn't earn. She stood. You'll regret this. Probably not, I said. Clock's running. She went down the hall, opened drawers and closets like she was looking for an argument inside them. Alyssa and Brooke started gathering plates. Leave them, I said. We'll clean after. Brooke looked at me. You okay? I'm steady. Alyssa nodded once, almost a salute. She'll spin. Stay boring. I'm good at boring, I said. Jenna came back with 2 bags and a face she'd used before she learned it didn't work on me anymore. She stopped by the table. Can we talk alone? She asked. No, I said. We already did it your way. Here's my way. She took the folder, looked at the signatures, looked at me one last time like maybe I'd blink and give back the ground I'd taken. I didn't. She moved to the door. At the threshold, she tried one more move. I never meant to hurt you, she said. You meant to help yourself? I answered. Different target, same bullet. She left. I stood a second, listened to the door close, let the quiet settle. Then I turned to Alyssa and Brooke. Thank you, I said. You didn't need to show up. Alyssa shrugged. We didn't show up for you. We showed up for the truth. But you held the line. That matters. Brooke nodded. We're leaving the food. You'll eat tomorrow. Appreciate it. Alyssa put a hand on my arm, quick and businesslike. If you need a new couch for the silence, we've got a truck. I smiled at that. I'll be fine. Go home. Hug your people. They left. I washed the plates alone, dried them, stacked them in the same cabinet where the wedding china sat we never used. I poured a glass of water, not a victory drink, not a sad drink, just water. Then I went to the closet and took down my fishing rod I hadn't touched in a year and leaned it by the door like a plan. The paperwork moved clean because I kept it clean. No mud, no theater. Jenna wanted concessions she hadn't earned. She got a schedule and a list. We sold what made sense. I refinanced what didn't. I kept the house because I actually pay for the house. I kept my truck, my tools, my Saturdays. She kept her car in a portion that matched reality, not fantasy. We drew a line through the middle and measured from there. Her messages shifted in tone 3 times in 2 weeks. Phase 1, anger. Phase 2, pity for herself with sprinkles of nostalgia. Phase 3, a generous offer to try counseling once I made a few changes. I responded to each with the same sentence. We're done. Good luck. Not cruel. Final. A month later, Sandoval, who I'd already paid and released, sent me one last piece of information unasked, just a line he'd learned on another job. The man from the photos had faded when the funds dried up. That wasn't news. You could see it coming from the moment he put his hand on her back like a proprietor. She moved into a small apartment close to a bus line and picked up shifts at a place that pays on Fridays. She posted less. The soft life she'd balanced on other people's patience went hard on her fast. That's not glee on my part. That's the ledger closing. My life simplified. I started going to the job sites earlier because I wanted to, not because I needed an excuse to be out of the house. I joined Nate for a weekend project in his garage just to help him finish something right. I picked up my rod and found a quiet stretch of water where nobody cares who you are if you stay in your lane. Sundays turned into a farmer's market and a long bike ride on a path I'd driven past for years. People asked if I was seeing someone. I told them no. It's not a vow, it's a season. I sleep fine. I cook simple food for one and sometimes for friends. The house is quieter in a way that doesn't feel empty. It feels honest. When I open the front door, it doesn't feel like I'm walking into a story I didn't write. Alyssa and Brooke came by once more to drop off a casserole and to sit on my deck with lemon water. They looked around like inspectors and nodded. You did what needed doing, Alyssa said. Late, but I got there, I said. Brooke squinted at the fence. You should stain that before winter. I laughed. Put it on the list. When they left, Brooke pointed at my fishing rod by the door. Go, she said. Good weather. On it, I said. Before I headed out, I picked up my phone and typed a final line to Jenna, not to reopen anything, but to close it in a way even silence couldn't argue with. I sent, you wanted a life with comfort bought by someone else's work. That store is closed. Take care. I put the phone face down and stepped into a day that asked nothing from me except presence. You want a grand finish, a speech that cuts the air? Here's what I actually said the last time I saw her face to face, when she came by to claim a box of sweaters she'd forgotten under the bed and tried a final smile with a question mark attached. She asked, do you ever think we could try again? I held the door and answered, calm as weather. I don't do reruns. Then I shut the door, turned the deadbolt, and went to stain the fence.